Hey everybody, thanks for joining us on this Thursday for a detailed look at your Colorado weather forecast. I'm Meteorologist Chris Bianchi here in the 9 News Weather Center. And again here, folks, we're talking about more wind, more fire danger. In fact, red flag warnings just expanded to cover the entire Front Range. And there's not a ton of relief inside. We don't really have any meaningful moisture over the course of the next 7 to 10 days. That's really bad news here, folks. There's no other way to spin it, but unfortunately, it does look like today could be dealing with our windiest conditions of the next few days. So today could be especially high fire danger. Can't really see those trees shaking around all that much in this beautiful shot from Fort Collins. But one thing to note is that we do have plenty of sunshine, so at least if you're heading outside today, it should be generally fairly nice, except this afternoon with some of those gusty winds. Now, here's a look at those overall headlines. Yep, once again, we're talking about those dangerous fire conditions. It is windy again, and unfortunately, this is going to continue probably into your day tomorrow, although those winds do back on off a little bit as we get into your day tomorrow. And again, don't blame your meteorologist. Trust me, we are just as sick of it as I imagine you are. Now, red flag warning continues for all of eastern Colorado until 7 p.m. tonight. This was just expanded a bit further north to include Greeley and Fort Collins. So again, the entire Front Range, the entire eastern part of the state now covered within those red flag warnings. St. Louis Valley as well, wind gusts up to 45 miles an hour. And perhaps the most important thing to remember here, folks, is that 80% or more of wildfires are caused by human error. So that means it is really on us to be smart. No outdoor burning of any kind today, and just be smart about things. No flicking those cigarettes out the windows. Nothing, again, with the spark. Even think about pulling over your car onto dry grass. Remember, your car can sometimes even spark a wildfire. I've heard of that happening in California. So again, just think about anything that might have a spark with it and avoid any sort of dry grasses and vegetation, because we're going to be talking about those extreme fire weather conditions for your day today. Winds pick on up as we head later on through the afternoon. Right now, those winds, generally speaking, on the lighter side, but as I mentioned, those will pick up this afternoon, and then come about 5, 6 o'clock, those winds do die back down, and then unfortunately, it looks like those winds will be a little bit on the stronger side once again for your day tomorrow afternoon. Temperatures 40s and 50s along the eastern plains, about 10 degrees warmer than this time yesterday, and generally speaking in the 30s on up into the mountains today. We do get up near 60 degrees, but the story is the wind and the fire danger, with those gusts perhaps reaching maybe 30, 35 miles an hour here in Denver. And then you get onto the eastern plains, and a few spots will certainly be stronger than that. So 50s and 60s for us on the eastern plains, 30s and 40s into the mountains. This is a little bit below average, but nothing too unusual about this. But the good news side of things is the mountains did pick up some pretty meaningful snowfall over the course of the last 48 hours, last 2 days. Winter Park, the winner, with 20 inches of snowfall, Aspen at 16 inches, and a widespread 5 inches plus into the mountains. That is good news. That helps out the snowpack and brings some meaningful moisture to the mountains, but that has mostly dissipated at this point. A few leftover flakes for us in some of those valleys, but for the most part, the snow is over and done with. Can't rule out a few more flurries for us in the mountains, an additional inch or two of snow along the I-70 corridor of the higher terrain, but for most of us, the snow is already done. That said, we do get another weak system that drops on through late tonight and really more into tomorrow morning. And that'll lead to a bit more snow from I-70 on north for us as we get into tomorrow morning, and then that snow does dissipate tomorrow afternoon. Tonight drops down to the 20s and 30s along the eastern plains, 20s and 30s on up into the mountains, and tomorrow mid-60s for us here in Denver. Not bad for this time of year. That's actually a little bit above average, with those highs getting on up into the mid-60s. Winds still pretty persistent, but a little lower than today, but still tomorrow afternoon look for those gusts to get up into the maybe 20 to 25 mile an hour range for the Denver area, and a bit stronger as you head a bit further east. Highs in the 60s and even some 70s popping on up into the eastern plains, 40s and 50s generally speaking on up into the mountains. So we're looking for some rain, some relief from all this nasty fire weather, right? Well, unfortunately, there is none of which to speak of over the next 7 days, with highs in the mid to upper 60s. That's not the problem. What will be the issue is those winds continuing for your Friday. Those winds do slacken a bit for your Saturday, but then they'll pick back up again for your Sunday and your Monday. So it stays windy, it stays dry. And by the way, here in Denver, we've only picked up 1/100th of an inch of rainfall so far this month. And with no rain in the next 7 days, we're really starting to, unfortunately, build back up some of those drought conditions along the Front Range. Drought Monitor did come in today. No real big changes here in the metro, but I would imagine next week or the week after, you might start seeing some unfortunate downgrades here in those drought conditions if we don't get any meaningful moisture, which, again, not much of which I can find at this point. We could be talking about some 80s, though, late next week. Meteorologist Chris Bianchi, thanks so much for joining us here on 9 News Plus. I'll have another update coming up at 9 News at noon and a detailed forecast at 12:30 as well. And then Chief Meteorologist Kathy Sabin will have more details coming up on the 9 News family of networks at 4, 5, 6, 9, and 10. Stay safe, and remember, 80% plus of wildfires are human caused. So just keep that in mind as you head out today, and stay safe out there. Have a great rest of your day, and again, we'll see you coming up here at 9 News at noon.